Consider this. You're at a neighborhood party. Do you tend to show the people that you're around who you truly are, or do you hide parts of yourself because you fear judgment? Or let's say that the holidays are coming and you're with your family, you're with your close inner circle. Do you feel comfortable and confident showing your true self to these people? If you struggle to show who you truly are for fear of judgment, fear of being rejected or abandoned, I get it. I've been there. In this week's episode, I'm going to actually take off my mask and I'm going to share with you and have a little bit of fun about who I am personally. You often hear me talk about deep and introspective topics on masks off for people pleasers and perfectionists. But in this particular episode, I share who I am as a person. Welcome to the Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists podcast. I am Kim Gross, your host, and it is my mission to help you unmask from people pleasing and perfectionistic behaviors so that you can finally have the confidence to live the life that you truly desire. Let's tune in to this week's episode. So I guess I'll start with the fact that I absolutely love and listen to rap music. First of all, I like all kinds of music. I like Motown. I do like classic rock and roll, but my favorite is 90s hip hop and rap. I actually, for my 50th birthday, which was 5 years ago, so I'm 55. And on my 50th birthday, I went with my son, my daughter, and my niece to see Migos. Now, many of you may not even know some of the people I'm talking about. That's totally fine. It all depends on who's listening. But we went to see Migos. They are rappers, and we had backstage passes. So I actually got to meet them as well. And that was what I wanted to do for my 50th birthday. Just this past summer, I saw Beyonce with my daughter, but I also went to see Little Baby, again, another rapper that many of you may or may not be familiar with. And I can tell you that I was absolutely, probably hands down, one of the oldest people in that TD Garden in Boston. And I also love 50 Cent, and I got to see him over the summer as well. And I share this because a lot of the times, the circles that I'm in, or at least in the past, I don't as much anymore, but I would cover up and hide that because being someone who likes rap and who I was as a perfectionist really didn't go hand in hand. So when my perfection mask was on really thick and heavy, and I was around certain people that I knew would not necessarily approve of rap music or rappers, and maybe they had their judgment that rappers are like all thugs or whatever the case is, I would censor that and not share or offer that piece of information. Again, this is the Masks Off podcast, which is take off the figurative or proverbial masks and be who you truly are. And that's why I'm sharing a little bit about me personally, because even a lot of you may have listened to many of my podcasts and formulated a judgment about me by listening. Like maybe you thought that I was, or I am white and I am 55. And so that is true. Although if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, you may not know that. I say that because I also put these on YouTube. So I forget that some people that follow Masks Off can see me. So for those who can't, I am a 55-year-old white woman. I grew up in middle class and I have two children, 24 and 21. I am married. I have followed that traditional path of go to high school, graduate, go to college, get a 4-year degree, go to graduate school, got a master's degree in education. I taught for 5 years in high school, and then I got pregnant with my son, and I haven't worked outside the home in 24 years. And the funny part about that story, the irony is that my parents paid all this money for my education and I followed the path. Come on, I followed the freaking path. And yet I didn't do what I thought I was going to do. I took a different path. I became a stay-at-home mom. And I don't regret that for a single second, because not only am I grateful that I had the opportunity to stay home with my kids and raise my kids, but I had the opportunity because I wasn't having to juggle a full-time job and raise two kids and do the personal growth work. Doing personal growth work felt like a part-time / full-time job in and of itself. So I have the utmost compassion, understanding for people who are working full-time, having careers, raising families. And if you are feeling like, or you just don't have the time to work on yourself personally, I get it. I get it. It's a lot. And yet I will also add in that we only have this one life. Dr. Phil says all the time that this is not a dress rehearsal. And I would just invite you and encourage you that if you don't want to have deathbed regrets, that you didn't live your life for yourself fully and truly, authentically, to even if it's just here and there, like working on yourself on the weekends or a little bit at night, whether you're just reading self-help books or you're listening to my podcast, or maybe you can fit in therapy or a coach once a week, something. But I just want to say I totally understand. So I did go on a tangent a little bit there. I will circle back and share more about who I am, take my mask off. So I did that whole traditional route, stayed home, raised my kids. They are 24, they're 21. And I started Masks Off podcast 3.5 years ago. I started it as a hobby. I had a co-host and we would just get on and have conversations about authenticity and about what it's like to show up as your true self. And I just really loved the title Masks Off. And who are you, or who are we beneath the masks? Who are we really, truly, authentically, our true selves? And so I started to do Masks Off on my own about 15 months ago. It is really my passion and it's my purpose to talk about the people pleaser, to talk about the perfectionist, and how pleasing, performing, and perfecting really gets in the way of us being our true and authentic selves. And it keeps us from healing. It keeps us from coming into wholeness. And so through having guests on, through my own journey, my own experiences, my own learning and research, I share as much as I can to help people to see the pattern of performing, perfecting, and people pleasing, and then how to unhook or unmask from those patterns, because that's what I'm really talking about. When I say people pleasing, perfectionist, masks, I'm talking about patterns. I'm talking about how we have these codependent patterns that have been playing out on repeat for a really long time. And so, how can we unhook? And it's really about doing the inner work and healing. So, other things that I love to do, going back to sharing more of myself, see how I just really want to go into the deep work. But I wanted to do this episode because I'm not always so deep. I'm not always being introspective. I do have a fun side. I do have interests that are different and unique. Like I said, I love rap music. I love going to concerts, and I love going to concerts with my young adult children. I love comedy. Kevin Hart is my favorite actor and comedian. I've seen him live in person twice. And for activity, I play tennis. I play with my husband. And I also love to box. I've been boxing one on one with a trainer for 4.5 years. I've had a trainer in New York. I have a trainer in Florida because I split my year in half. Half my year is in Florida, half my year is in New York. So I had to have a boxing trainer in both places. And I actually am really good at boxing. I don't know what I would do if I was in a real boxing fight. I probably would get my ass kicked, but I do have really good hooks and uppercuts, and I do have really good form. I have a really great relationship with my young adult children. I've worked really hard on work on that with them. And I do like to travel. I love just spending time in nature when I can. And when I'm not on my lighthearted, fun side, actually, also, I forgot too, I do love watching sports on TV, especially the NBA. I love the Brooklyn Nets, but I do also like the Celtics as well. My daughter lives in Boston, right near the TD Garden. And so I've had the opportunity to see the Celtics play a couple of times. So I have become a fan of the Celtics as well, even though my son says I'm not a true fan because the Boston Celtics swept the Brooklyn Nets, I think last year, maybe the year before. So how can I like a team that swept my team? But nonetheless, I do really enjoy watching basketball on TV. I actually am a lot like my dad was. I will sit and swear at the TV when they're not doing well. And that's another thing. I do swear a lot. And that is something as well that I have had to cover up, or I wore a mask around because it's not ladylike to swear. It's not ladylike. It's not a good girl to say fuck or whatever. And I swear a lot in front of my kids. I swear wherever, if it just happens to be. And that just does not go hand in hand with the perfectionist, the good little girl, and the people pleaser. So I have had to become very aware of that mask and how to take that off. What I really just wanted to do is have a little bit of fun today with you and allow you the opportunity to get to know me a little bit, aside from my deep introspective side, which is really a big part of who I am. I'm very introspective. I'm very deep. I'm very intuitive and empathic. And I love to talk about personal growth and healing. I could do it 24/7. I don't know about 24/7, but a lot. It's really a part of who I am. For a long time, I had a hard time owning that because I was told I was too deep. And now I'm like, fuck it. That's who I am. I am deep. I'm introspective. And it makes me a very, I feel and believe, an interesting person to have a conversation with. But I can also be lighthearted. I can talk about shoes. I could talk about music. I could talk about sports. So I do have a wide range of who I am and what I'm all about. I would love for you to get to know me even more. You could do that through my newsletter. the Unmasked newsletter, and I will put the link in the show notes. You can also check me out on my website, kimgrosscoaching.com. I have a people pleaser and perfectionist quiz there. You can take that, and that will allow you to get on my email list as well. If you want to share a little bit about yourself with me so I can get to know you, my audience, you can comment in the comment section. Let me know. Are you a fellow rap lover? Do you love to box? Do you resonate with any of the things that I shared in this particular episode? So thanks for joining me on this little personal journey. I hope that you enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more, and I will see you next time.